No, you've done it, man.
Start.
Yeah.
Oh, you're amazing.
Have fun, guys.
Alright, good luck, have fun.
So, on to Theme Park here, and this is my first time ever casting Theme Park. So the callouts are going to be fun. I have been playing it a little bit in ranks and scrims, so I know it fairly decently, but it is going to be weird spectating it. We do see ViZN again on the defense, getting the first ban. They ban out the Thermite. Now, I don't think Thermite's quite in the meta on Theme Park. Milosh, if you listen to him, suggests that Maverick is the go-to. Depends if you get behind that or not. There is still obviously Habana and Maverick. We potentially will see the decline of Thermite bans with Ace coming in a couple of seasons' time. But for now, it's a very interesting ban. With Thatcher coming out as well, so I think we're going to see probably Maverick Habana coming out for a majority of these rounds. Thermite Thatcher, best friends, but not friends of both teams here. Now let's see if Locked Up once again ban out this Elysian, and I think it is just to aid Moon's playstyle where he plays for Monty, and yeah, they do not like the Elysian in the slightest. It'll be interesting to see if they struggle with Malusi when she comes in. It's been suggested with their similar playstyles. Malusi able to slow down attackers coming into certain areas in a similar way to having goo mines stopping them coming in. So potentially if you want to stop Moon in a couple of seasons time, just whack a Banshee, that's the name of it. Whack a Banshee in one of the 6 areas of the map that he actually goes to. But one looking at the Astro Repel. So Army Throne coming out here first from ViZN. And I am going to have a little moan about the fact that nobody here has a tag, because it does make it really annoying. So yeah, Maverick Habana coming out from the attack, the Jackal to aid with the roam clear. I like having the Nomad, because it means you can roam clear and then just set up your flank and not have to assign a person to watching it, which I think is crucial on Theme Park, because you need to take certain parts of a map and then just flank watch them.
Attackers need to locate.
Now, I have not seen very many games in Sin League actually played on Theme Park. I'm not sure if it's actually the first game or not. I've not personally watched any other Theme Park matches. So I'm intrigued to see what the PS format is like. I'm assuming there'll be a lot of copying PC, which of course is fairly normal, but every now and then you do see a team on PS4 like the old Crown Gaming or Team of Sliman have had some interesting strats recently. I'm not sure if they're quite on the same level as the strats that we saw a couple of years ago.
5 seconds left.
I do think back to the old Nexus A days and wonder what their strats would look like in comparison. Not sure what happened to Nexus A. I think they all just probably got accused of MK and left.
Attackers dropped the diffuser. Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
So 4 of the attackers spawning around on this side. I'm not sure if the Buck here, Zeri, solo entering in through Cafe. Now he's joining for himself. This is a really interesting part of Theme Park. Do you go for the solo entry? Because this is an extremely risky playstyle, which... Oh, he's so close to losing his drone. And that is his only way of getting intel onto this Mozzie. He somehow sneaks it through the doorway, and he's a little bit impatient about taking it through the corridor and loses his drone to it. Which is a real shame here for Zeri, who up until that point had been doing a really good job of just entering in the cafe. And Hades, I think he may have fallen off a roof. Sloppy there from Hades, not quite sure how that happened. And the Jackal opening some really nice angles here, all the way across the break room. It's a really nice long angle. But he gets punished by the Jaeger. The Mute definitely wasn't aware of that. We're actually in a 3v3, but there's 2 players downed and they're getting rezzed up. So back to a 5v3, which is unfortunate here for Locked Up, but I mentioned at the end of Villa about how Vision could be in a bad mood. I think going on to defense first on Theme Park really is going to level that out for them. These rounds are so stacked in FA, especially Armory Throne on the first round. Maybe not so much once we go to Initiation Drug. I personally think Bunk Daycare is quite defender-sided as well, but the attackers here have just busted into sight. I gotta say, this is very confident coming out from Locked Up, who are just trusting each other to get into sight and play for refrags. Hades has managed to get the plant down, so they still don't have a man advantage, but they got a little bit of HP to work with. Turns it into a 1v2, I believe. Hades inside still. Got two good guns to work with here, so may have to reload his primary at some point. If he gets the kill on this Jaeger, it'll be crucial, and he doesn't do it. And that is Locked Up, unable to hold on to the post-plant situation. Okay, I'm here, just defusing it, taking the first round towards Vision, who get the expected and mostly deserved defensive army throwing. They did have a little bit of a scare on their own though, with two players getting downed, but pulling it back together and denying the post-plant situation. So Bunk Daycare next. Vision playing a lot more default site rotation than they did on Villa. We're not seeing Drug Lab busted out first, although I do think it's a viable site, having seen SSG and TSM playing different variations of it, where you hold upstairs for a little bit, then you drop down into Armory Throne, and then you fall back. And it's I've got to say, I think one of the aspects which is making Theme Park so defender-sided at the moment is that there's 4 viable bomb sites. Over time, we might see one of them drop off and become unplayable, but I don't think the attackers have worked out any 4 of the bomb sites yet. Any of the 4 bomb sites yet, sorry.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Vision here, expanding out into Initiation Office. I think Chaos were the first team to do this in Pro League, as far as I'm aware at least, and it really has become a meta just to leave this bunk wall open. And when you, to be honest, when you look at it from an attack point of view, if you get this wall open, it doesn't really offer you much. You're still walking into a crossfire from the site rotates and the yellow corridor door. You've got break room to worry about, and you've also got the arcade doorway to worry about, so it's understandable to leave that open. It just depends if you can waste enough time on this Initiation Office side, which with the castle set up, they really are just surrendering this first third, but they're going to waste a lot of utility, or they're going to expand a lot of utility just to stop the attackers getting an early entry in. And now again, once they're locked up, they've got 2 nades, but they're not running an Asher or a Zofia, and Havana can get rid of the castle barricades, granted, but if Vision were playing maybe Jaeger, Wamai, Goyo, and then Maestro, they really would be struggling to get through all of this. And I am not a fan of seeing the Maverick using his torch when a Jackal's on board with a shotgun. That's sloppy utility. The Maverick, if you could use it correctly, you can get 2 walls open. And it's just a little bit rash from them. Jaeger here playing very aggressive. I think I'm not sure who it was on the upside down rappel, but he got picked off from it. It's a 4v3. Locked Up have made a very confident entry into arcade by the looks of it. I'm not sure if they've actually got a player inside. I'm not sure how Natix has done this. He's just kind of walked in. Now Vision playing the retake, which 3v2, it's not working out for him so far. Aspect, the only one up on the side of Vision. And unaware of these break angles, he's got to retake this site, which I just said about it's so difficult because you're walking in with different crossfires. And now he is the one on the wrong side of it. And loses to the yellow corridor, and that is 1-1. Not a very good defense coming out here from Vision, who just didn't seem to be watching. I think it must have been the waiting room side where the Maverick was able to just walk in. I'm not quite sure how Locked Up pulled that off so quickly, but we are seeing them go back to Bunk Daycare. One of these teams did mention about not having strats for Theme Park. I'm not sure if it was Vision. They certainly looked like they had a strat for Armory Throne. It was a bit more plausible to me that they don't have Bunk Daycare at a good standard. Similar setup coming out. I think they've dropped the Maestro for the smoke. I assume they'll be expanding out into initiation office again, so I would like to see one of these teams try a different site at some point. I want to see some drug lab get played. I'm just checking everyone's pings because I've seen a lot of players looking to have a few issues with it. They're all looking like they're around about 60 ping or less. So I'm surprised to see people lagging back and forth. I'm assuming it's something on Ubisoft's end at the moment, unfortunately. Expert in particular looks like he's having a bit of a rough time with it.
10 seconds remaining.
So it looks like the same castle setup. I'm not sure if this is pre-planned. I'm assuming that this is a intentional
Attackers are
strat.
heading out to defuse a bomb.
ADS up and running.
Initiate jammer!
Swapping back.
The attackers doing a very split push here, which is very... It worked out quite effective from last time. It's very difficult to make use of the entire map on Feedback. It's very difficult to be able to be confidently clearing the whole thing, so it's brave for them to try and split up into two different groups and just rely on each other to
Bomb
drone for
located by
themselves.
attackers.
Nobody going on the break room rappel yet, I don't think, which is quite a crucial aspect of the map control they got in the last round. KM's already been lit up. I'm not sure which angle he was contesting. I gotta say, I think this is the first time I've casted a best of two and the teams have been on par with each other in regards of this could easily go to 6-6 and it could be a very long game again.
The attackers bomb diffuser has
Moon
been
here,
dropped.
not taking the correct utility, having to waste a smoke canister just to try and get this castle barricade by meleeing it, and he's losing so much HP to the canister. Hades, while I'm saying that, does get an opening kill. Opening a very long angle into sight here, and Vision just falling so quickly. They do manage to get a couple of kills, so they trade off a couple of them, but just like that, locked up, taking the second round, and what's cited as a strong first defense for Vision is just falling off a little bit here. I'm assuming they're going to go back to Army Throne, and I hope after that they have a third site they can go to, because they, twice in a row, have not looked confident on bunk daycare. They've only managed to get 4 kills across 2 bunk daycare defenses, so something not quite right for them there. It looks like positioning. Their utility looks like it's planned and looks to be in the right spots, but they just aren't watching the correct angles. And that seems to me like a little bit of inexperience on Theme Park. This could be a crucial round here for Vision, as coming off the back of the manner in which they lost a couple of clutches on Villa, and the final round where they got ran out on, their mindset's going to be very difficult. I'm hoping that they manage to keep their focus, but if Theme Park isn't a good map for them and they do find themselves losing bunk daycare frequently, it could cause some issues going into an attacking half, knowing that they've lost their defenses on Villa, knowing they've lost their defenses on Theme Park. They had a glimmer of hope in that they had a couple of good attack rounds on Villa, but ultimately it's going to get to them eventually.
10 seconds left before insertion.
I don't know the guys in Vision particularly well. I'm not sure if they are the type to tilt or if they are able to just put it aside and focus on the round by round kind of mentality. Playing here with the blue hatch open, so they've got the potential to roam quite heavily and try and drop down into it. The attackers here look like they're just about to jump straight into maintenance, which vertical angles above I think have been created, but they're not actually being used. So Nasix here might just need to call the bluff and start working on this. He has a crucial angle up into Rasha, who dies on the throne, and the
Attackers
triple
have recovered their diffuser.
breach here, coming up from locked up, who are just walking into sight and planting already, and ViZN, this is what I mean. What's going through their combo now? How are they dealing with this? They're playing on the retake again. They've got themselves into a 3v3. The time ticking down against them as they did just let the attackers of locked up walk straight into the throne and plant. And so many angles in throne here to contest. It really could go either way as the Jaeger gets yeeted across the floor, and 3-1 here for locked up, who put themselves on a roll here. And ViZN not looking confident, just holding down the site at the moment. I would imagine we'll see them go back to Armory Throne, but warning signs here for ViZN, who just seems to have this slipping away from them a little bit. I'm not quite sure what was going on with the bandit. Didn't seem to be on the wall. I'm not sure if the person, I can't remember who it was now. Somebody walked straight into sight. I think it might have been, I'm assuming it might have been Hades or Zeri, who just kind of walked in through the throne doorway and got injured, but I'm not sure if they did enough damage just to get that wall open in the background. And whoever was upstairs as the mute wasn't making use of the vertical angles in control, and even though the angles were open, you got to make use of them.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
So difficult position here for ViZN, who on a defender-sided map find themselves already 3 rounds down. They need to come back and win their next 2 defenses to even salvage this half, let alone the entire game. With that said, we saw them go only 2 rounds of attack on, only 2 rounds of defense on Villa, and they did seem competent on attack. So it won't be the end of the game, but I'm not sure out of Villa and Theme Park which is a more defender-sided. I'd probably say Theme Park at the moment. I think over time we'll see that Villa is probably more defender-sided, but teams just haven't worked out Theme Park. And this is very, very early stages of watching it in competitive play. So, Aspect here seems to have all of his bandits down straight away, which I suppose with the Thatcher Thermite ban makes a lot of sense. Just leave it, but does mean if the bandits get taken off the wall, then that is kind of it. Hades being overconfident in this lockers angle, and the attackers I think just rushing this a little bit. And I know that that's what they were trying to do last round, but I think ViZN have adapted quite well and taken the early gunfights, and this really has worked out for ViZN here, who find themselves in a 4v1. Pro Hard Gunner has won one of these before, but this time he doesn't have Ella's gun and he gets taken out pretty quickly. So ViZN, confident round there, calling out the lockers rush and collapsing onto it to stop it pretty quickly. They've got to get this next round on defense, which I'll be intrigued to see if they go back to bunk daycare. I think it would be a mistake at this point. I think if they've got another site they need to show it. And they do go lab, so let's see if they actually know how this works. I'm not sure if they're just throwing this out for the sake of it. They've got 2 C4s, so they can sit below and try and C4 up, and they've got the smoke and echo to waste time. They go off one of the C4s, so the castle, it gives me hope that they are going to go and try and hold the Armory Throne area of the map. Moon, I'm not sure if this is an intentional 6-pick, because obviously there's no castle being shown here from ViZN, but it's actually a very useful pick in terms of getting rid of these castle barricades. Perhaps just anticipating that they are taking lab and they would need the vertical destruction. Although actually think about it, Moon lost a lot of HP last time trying to melee a castle barricades. It's probably in response to that, but it does work out well here for the attackers who have the utility to get rid of these castle barricades straight away. And that is a slight bit of damage going on to the Jaeger there. A little bit sloppy of a setup, but this does seem like what I consider to be meta hold, where they are expanding out into barrels and throne.
10 seconds to go.
They are hopefully not going to fully reinforce this, because you need to have a little bit of this open to be able to retake this corridor. So slight mistake there, I think, coming up from the setup. That might work out. I've obviously not seen enough of the site to know for certain what does and doesn't work, but when I've seen Rebel and I've also seen SSG and other teams playing this site, they have always left that wall open. Expert here in a very early gunfights, and the Sledge seems to have just taken the castle barricade off of the bathroom straight away. He's got a stack of ADSs to keep him safe, but...
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Hostile found. First floor.
The attackers here really not making any attempt to go for a roam clear or anything like that, and I've seen this on several maps now from Locked Up. They really don't like roam clearing. They just force their way into sight with a bit of a mix of Blackbeard, Monty, Nomad. They just kind of come straight at your anchors, and it can throw a lot of teams off. Azeri here does get the opening kill onto the Mozzie, and he's just walked into his bathroom. C4 from the dead Mozzie, unfortunately not going to be able to do anything against these attackers who awkwardly funneled themselves into the bathroom and are getting away with it until that kill from the Jaeger. And now the punishment coming out for what is a relatively lazy, not lazy, but relatively brute force attack.
Device ready. Activating drone. Reload.
So, although the attackers have got the man advantage, I don't think they've taken very much map control so far. And minute 23 left, there's still the smoke and the echo on the board. No smoke canisters left in play though, so all down to the echo to the night plant if it does come to that. There's no IQ from Locked Up, so I assume that the Yokais are still active. As Natix does kill off the smoke, and now it's KM
Bomb located by attackers.
on site on his own as Ick is roaming upstairs. And yeah, there is a Yokai in play here, so if he times this right, he can deny the plant. And it's just the Echo left alive. He's going to have a very hard time denying the plant for the rest of this round. He's going to have to time every single one of these Yokai blasts to perfection, and I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I think this Yokai is going to get taken out long before he's able to do anything significant with it. And he gives away his position with a pre-fire, and the silencer not enough there to hide his position as the Maverick swings on him and turns the round and the half in favour of Locked Up at 4-2. And we see it go exactly the same way as Villa went, where the defense of ViZN just losing them a little bit of leeway going into the second half of the map. Army Throne here coming up first from Locked Up, which is standard. I'm not fully convinced that it's the best site on the map. It is at the moment because its teams are exploring it, but I think a few teams have already shown that busting your way into maintenance with the Maverick can be quite an effective way of just forcing a way into site. And I really am
Defenders, protect your bombs
surprised to see ViZN not running the Maverick. I think that could be a fatal flaw for them with only the one hard breach on this site. I'm not sure if they... I assume the thermite ban must have come out from Locked Up in order for that to be the case.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Oh. The maintenance ward is actually open, so... I don't know if... I don't know if ViZN have just done their homework here and know that they like to leave that wall open and maybe doubling up on the soft breach because of that. If so, that is a 1000 IQ play, but I'm not sure the... I feel like that's not intentional. I feel like they're just not running a Maverick because they're not comfortable on it. It could work out in their favour. The Sledge here could bust open the castle barricades and this wall and just replicate what the Maverick would be doing. Echo already over on the other side of the map. I'm not sure if this is roaming or just hiding. And nobody on the top floor here from Locked Up, so they clearly like just playing over on the drug lab side.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
KM has disconnected. It is already 40 seconds into round, so if they leave, this is going to be a defeat for them. Hopefully KM will come back before the end of the round. It's unfortunate here for ViZN, who haven't really had a chance to explore this attack before already losing a person, and Natic's reinforcing this wall. Risky to do so, but it does cost ViZN, who've lost their Habana as well, which is really unfortunate. So KM has come back, but I can imagine the frustration on their side from that is going to be immense.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
And I think that, I don't want to say that's a reason why you should run second hard breach, because nobody should ever plan around a player disconnecting, but even if you just got spawn peaked or something like that, not running the second hard breach on this map, in my opinion, with the thermite ban, doesn't make much sense to me.
Swapping mags.
Rash, expert and aspect here, trying to clutch this round, but one of the most defender-sided objectives in the game currently. No hard breach, one nade to try and get a kill from, and it does dislodge the castle, who actually gets team killed as a result of having to move out of the way, so useful nade coming out there, but not going to reflect well on the scoreboard for ViZN,
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
who find themselves 2v4.
I'm reloading.
35 seconds left here. They've dropped the diffuser, so they've got to try and retrieve this. They know the Jaeger's position,
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
not quite able to get the kill. He does just lay down, and cheeky play there coming out from Hades.
Impact out.
Does get the kill onto the Echo.
15 seconds to go.
Now, in terms of momentum, this would massively swing if they manage to clutch this round, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Even though Locked Up are getting extremely aggressive here and giving away a few
5
opportunities
seconds
to
to go.
lose gunfights, but they do take a round, unsurprisingly, on a defense where hard breach is so important and the only hard breach taken by the other team disconnected, which is massively unfortunate for ViZN. And I do want to give them a shout out for just sheer bad luck in this game so far. So we see initiation office next from Locked Up, not going to the bunk daycare site. The Monty coming out here for ViZN, and I think Monty is, in my opinion, very important if you're only going to run with one hard breach, because it does let you just walk through these narrow doorways and just force defenders to move. The Yin coming out as well, so this is stressful operators to deal with for the defenders. But I think Locked Up are going to have the mental
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
mental strength, sorry, to be able to deal with this. And Moon himself is a very prominent Ying and Monty player, so having his own medicine dealt against him a little bit here potentially, but I would imagine he knows how to counter them as well. I suppose they are banning the Lesion, so the Monty's going to become even more powerful, as is the Ying, arguably, who's going to be able to just throw in her Candelas and not have to worry about getting caught in a goo mine.
Ten seconds left.
They have left this site wall
5 seconds
soft.
to insertion.
I don't know if this is intentional. It's really interesting if it is.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
It does look to be fully intentional, because they've reinforced 4 sets of double walls in the 2 initiation walls, the office wall, the cache wall. Then they've reinforced a single wall in this dragon corridor, and they've also reinforced the yellow stairs to office vault wall. So I'm intrigued. I want to know what their thought process is behind this. Do they just think that it's another situation where you breach this wall and you walk into a multitude of crossfires? Because from my perspective, once you've cleared out this office vault, you get through this site wall and you get quite a nice plant spot. But Zeri playing very aggressive here in cache, which I assume is the basis of this hold.
Setting nitro cell.
This is a weird hold coming out from Locked Up. I like it, and it's definitely going to pose some questions to ViZN, who have to try and break this down. Aspect with the opening kill onto the pulse. And he didn't even have to use a Candela to do so. So he's got all 4 of those Candelas left to play with. Jaeger does get spotted in here. They are just meleeing this castle barricade open. And now the Chaos is about to go. Does get one of them gets caught in an ADS somehow when the others didn't. Expert just kind of walks in here. And I don't think any of those candidates actually did anything. And this is why I think teams overestimate Ying sometimes, because if you don't know how to use the Candelas, you just throw them and they just don't really have any effect. Expert gained a little bit of map control, but that was more from the Monty than the Ying in my opinion. And although they've managed to barge their way into cache and control, sorry, I mean, I'm not really sure this has worked out too well for the attackers. Although it has made a very good play into site here, and we see Prohard Gunner now in a 1v3 situation, and he can only clutch if he has Ella's gun apparently. Much better attack here coming out from ViZN. Maybe just having a little bit more confidence from a Monty and Ying just to gain a little bit of map control. So we do see bunk daycare now for Locked Up, who are only 2 rounds away from taking all 6 points out of this best of 2. They are busting up the Mute Mozzie combo, which I think the Monty is a perfect counter to be honest with you, because the Expert can just walk past with Mute Jammers and Pest and just call out what he sees on the other side without having to drone it. I think both teams here have over-relied on 2-speed operators. They've taken a lot of the C4 operators that I mentioned earlier, and there's been a real lack of anchor play. The Maestro Echo combos, we've seen Smoke a few times, but not every objective, and I'm surprised we haven't seen more. We haven't seen Goyo once across both maps, I don't think, which is a real shame. Maybe teams just deciding they don't like the 20-second utility meta, and fair enough. If they just want to avoid this and play the Mute Mozzie meta instead, then who am I to judge?
Attackers have located a bomb. 5 seconds left. Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
ViZN here, they're doing fairly similar to what Locked Up did, and just sending one guy to the other side of the map. Perhaps there's a bit of a distraction, perhaps a little bit of a solo push just to try and do some damage. It is very hard to breach onto the other side, so I'm not sure if it's just a bit of a bait. Now this is definitely one of the strongest points for Monty in my opinion. Walking through Cafe is something so difficult for most attackers to do, but the Monty can just put up his shield and go for it. Jaeger here. I thought he was going to go for a kill through the drone hole. I don't think he's aware of the Ying playing right next to it. I don't know if he could actually get the angle onto her feet. She is on her drone. And now he's aware of this Monty, so... And this is the dilemma for defenders. You see the Monty look at you, and what do? Do you just back off, or... I'm just begging here for Zeri to peek the drone hole. I just want to know if he had an angle, but the Ying has moved now, so we're not going to see that kill come out. Expert, he walked into Cafe and then just kind of stopped. I think he just didn't have the confidence to push on any further, and I'm not sure that his current choice of going back on Baruth was the correct play. ViZN here just looking a little bit lost as to how to get into the map, other than this one guy who seems to be in below. So Bash just kind of walking her way through the bottom of the map. Doesn't seem to be getting droned particularly. I do wonder if they've just become a little bit disconnected. That C4, for a moment I thought it was going to catch Expert, but he reacts pretty well to it. And yeah, I don't think the Ash was getting droned for at all there. That's sloppy coming out from ViZN, who get absolutely punished by Natex, Hades and Zeri. And now we see Rash in the 1v5, and flawless round coming out. I've got to say ViZN looked absolutely lost on that attack. the Monty just walked into Cafe and then gave up and just didn't want to push any further, and the Ash wasn't getting droned for. I gotta say, I don't think ViZN have scrimmed that attack very often by the looks of it. It's a shame here. They got off to a good start on Armory Throne, but then their bunk daycare I think just made this map slip away from them. A couple of defensive wins there would have left us a lot closer. We're on track for another 7-4 here. 2 defender-sided maps in a row where we've seen a lot of attack wins, and I think that's more, having looked at it now, it looks more like ViZN are just not up to scratch on the defenses. Locked Up seem to be going relatively 50-50 across their defenses. And they are going back to Armory Throne, so the Monty's going to make a difference, definitely so. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was the last round of the best of 2 here.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
I should imagine Locked Up feeling pretty relaxed at this point. They've got 3 rounds to get the win and walk away with all 6 points.
Attackers have discovered
And
the
they've
location of a bomb.
got some very favourable bomb sites to try and do that with, so probably keen to see this match out as it did start later than planned. Probably want to finish it off fairly quickly.
Razor wire going up.
10 seconds left. 5 seconds remaining.
I gotta say, I stand by the fact that I think ViZN have got a huge amount of potential in this roster. They have a great fragger in Ick, and I think they've got players around him who can also get on the board. I just think they didn't look particularly confident on their defenses, and a couple more strats potentially going their way. They looked pretty well prepared on Villa. They had some really nice ideas with their kitchen hold where they just held the C4s upwards, and their trophy hold where they put the mute in the walk-in. But on Theme Park they did not look comfortable at all on bunk daycare, and then they just started losing a couple of rounds to stupid pushes on Armory Throne, and they unfortunately just kind of lost the match at that point, in my opinion. Theme Park at the moment is not a map where you can afford to be losing 4 of your defenses. It's just a bit too much to come back from, and they're trying their best. Running the Monty really is giving them a lot of avenues to actually get into the map, but the lack of a Maverick is questionable in my opinion, and that is a C4 onto the Monty who gets taken off, and this round is going to be a struggle for ViZN to come back into. I'm not actually sure. I think it was ViZN who banned out the Thermite. I will need to go back and watch that, because they were defending and they banned first, so banning out the Thermite and then not having a person who likes playing Maverick, maybe they've scrimmed it and they practiced with just Urbana, but I think as a backup somebody's got to go onto that Maverick role and just Maverick trick open the maintenance wall or something like that. I don't think you can ban out a hard breacher if you don't know how to use one of the other 2. Ash here does get some idea that Viega's playing there because of the bullet traces, and is actually getting droned in this time, so she's way more coordinated with her team and reaps the benefits of it. She does actually put her team in a position here where they've got the man advantage, so could be a surprising comeback from a 5v3. Oh, and a very tight angle there. Picasso just winning out. I've seen so many impact kills in this game, it's actually unbelievable. Impacts of the new C4s. As Moon does swing around, and unsurprisingly I think we're going to see him go on the Romas for Maestro, which just, yeah, is working out for him at this point, so makes sense in some ways. Like, that gun is just so powerful, you might as well put it out on the Roma and just do some damage with it. Leave the castle with his ump to try and hold down the site, which he does do. Unable to kill this Havana, but Moon does clutch it up, and that is 7-3 for Locked Up versus ViZN on Theme Park, and they walk away with all 6 points from this best of 2.